This is the End Zone. Let's move the chains and get into our top 10 coaches currently in college football. Now, in my ranking, obviously it's opinionated, it's biased, but I'm really taking more consideration on recency, what you've done recently. So guys like Jimbo Fisher didn't crack my top 10 because I haven't really liked what he's done at Texas A&M, even though he was very successful at Florida State. But getting that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. At number 10, I have Mario Cristobal, the Oregon you know and love from the Mariota era with Chip Kelly's high-flying offense is gone. Cristobal is another Nick Saban protege, and to me, he shares the old Nick Saban philosophies. First of all, his recruiting has been some of the best it's ever been for Oregon, and he has an emphasis on strong defense and a physical offense. Not only has he been successful after picking up from Willie Taggart's Oregon, I think that Oregon's physical identity and brand of physical football gives Oregon a bright future, especially in a pretty rough-looking Pac-12. He's 21-7 overall at Oregon and 48-54 overall. Much of that was his FIU career. Number 9, Ryan Day. After Urban Meyer retired, Ryan Day inherited an elite team and program. Yes, I realize he's very young, and I realize that he received a great team, but he's recruiting at a high level, and he was a bad call away from facing LSU in the national championship. I don't care who you are or where you are coaching, but what he did as a head coach was incredible in 1 year. The future is bright for the Buckeyes and Ryan Day in Columbus. Ryan Day's record is 16-1 as a head coach. At number 8, we've got Dan Mullen. Now, Dan Mullen could easily be up one more spot, but these are my rankings and I can do whatever I want. He had a solid career with Mississippi State with Dak Prescott, bringing Mississippi State to the number 1 ranking. But what he's done with Florida is even more impressive. After 2 seasons, he's gone 10-3 and 11-2 with 2 big-time bowl wins. Not only is he winning on the field, but he has had a top 10 recruiting class since he's gotten to Florida. The Gators are going to be the main challengers to Georgia in the SEC East, and honestly, I think Dan Mullen and Florida are going to be one of the best teams in the SEC in years to come. He's 90-31 overall as a head coach in college football. At number 7, I have James Franklin. Listen, I don't think any coach has been in any harder situation, in a harder position than James Franklin, and had success like he did under those circumstances. First off, he won games at Vanderbilt. That in itself should say enough. Second, he came to Penn State after Jerry Sandusky ruined the reputation of the university, and he had to replace great Joe Paterno. After 2 7-win seasons, Franklin had 3 11-win seasons and 1 9-win season. I also have bias for James Franklin because of his philanthropy and encouragement to players to help children with cancer. I had the honor of meeting Carl Nassib when I had cancer in the hospital, and that was a moment I will never forget. He is 80-38 overall as a head coach. 5 and 6 could easily be interchanged, but at number 6, I have Brian Kelly. It's much harder to win at Notre Dame than you think. The schedule is consistently difficult. You must win out to get into the championship, and recruiting is hard, and everyone in the world hates you. I forgot to add that. Kelly has posted 3 straight 10-plus win seasons. He's appeared in a national title game against a historically impressive Bama squad, and a playoff game versus possibly the greatest Clemson team ever, which went on to beat Alabama worse than they beat Notre Dame. As for recruiting, Notre Dame is a top-tier quarterback away from being in the top tier of college football. I just need to see Brian Kelly win some top-tier games against some top-tier opponents. And if you question the difficulty of recruiting to Notre Dame, let me ask you this question. Would you rather go to a school with sunny beaches or days, easy classes, attractive girls, and a guarantee of winning? Would you like to go to a private Christian university where the weather is terrible and cold and snowy, difficult academics, and it's in South Bend, Indiana? His record is 71-36 overall as a head coach. At number 5, I have Kirby Smart. Smart turned UGA into not only an SEC threat to Alabama, but a national championship contender year in and year out. The Bulldogs have dominated on the recruiting scale, and Kirby Smart has been extremely close to winning it all. He is an apprentice to Nick Saban, and he is trying to make UGA the next Bama. But to be the best, he's got to beat the best, and I'd also like to point out the outstanding transfer portal recruiting he has had, landing JT Daniels and Jamie Newman. I do question some of his play calling, but he is 44-12 as a head coach, and that is impressive. Sliding in at number 4 is a guy who hasn't won those big games, kind of like Brian Kelly, but it's Lincoln Riley. I know that the Sooners haven't fared well in the college football playoffs, but Riley has been able to reach the playoffs 3 times with 3 straight 12-win seasons. He's dominated the Big 12, and really no one has been able to beat him. Not to mention, he is a quarterback guru, and his offensive genius is off the charts. He has really changed the game with RPOs and offense. Oklahoma is a solid defense away from playing in a national championship and expect to see the Sooners in the playoffs to come. He's 36-6 as a head coach, and he's won 3 straight Big 12 titles. At number 3, we have possibly the biggest riser of any college football coach in a long time. It's Ed O. I realize that Joe Burrow and Joe Brady had a ton to do with his success of LSU last year, but to be honest, Ed Orgeron has had a roller coaster of a coaching career starting off at USC, but he was the guy who brought in both Joes because he realized how to fix LSU's problems. He knew that the offense had to change, and he was the guy who brought in the coaches to change that and brought in the players to change that. A lot of people penalize Coach O because of this, but I'm going to reward him because he's the guy who made LSU great again. He saw a problem and he fixed it. And he coached one of the greatest college football offenses of all time. He's 40-9 overall. He's a player's coach and a strong recruiter. Ed O at number 3. Number 2 and number 1 should be pretty self-explanatory. I don't really have to spend much time on them. Dabo Swinney at number 2. Listen, the movement from Taj Boyd to Deshaun Watson was incredible. That was the step that Dabo Swinney needed to turn Clemson into a powerhouse and to the team we all really hate, the Clemson Tigers. 130-31 overall, 2 national championships. He's won the ACC championship every year since 2015, and he's turned Clemson into the best Clemson ever because Clemson has never been this good. And at number 1, we have Nick Saban. He returned Alabama to its former glory after failing in the National Football League and is a college football legend. He recruits well. He also adapts to the game. He can no longer play with incredible defenses and run the ball up the middle with Derrick Henry. He has to embrace the college football offenses of RPOs and stylistic changes. He does that. He's 152-23 as a head coach, and he's won 6 national championships. Even though he's old, he's not stubborn. He changes his ways, and he still wins despite the changing game. And to me, that is one of the best things in a coach. I'd love to know what you think down below. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Let me know your top 10 college football coaches currently. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.